everybody who sent us your beautiful sunflowers. They were absolutely lovely. We loved them. Today it's Wednesday and we are going to do some really good fun minions. Everybody loves a minion, so let's get drawing. So here's my little bit of scrap paper to get my arm going. Now I did some drawing today without warming up and I really did notice it because I was really struggling. So it's really worth doing this, just get some warming up done. Now today, as Elizabeth just pointed out, it's Wednesday, it's fun day. We're doing minions. Minions have these big circles which form their, what are they, Elizabeth?
Goggles.
Goggles.
Like
goggles. So it's like we're going to create a page of circles. And I want you to do this so loosely. So I'm just showing you here, my shoulder just come up onto your shoulder and nice and loosely round. And the other thing we've got apparently is bananas. Now bananas is not a circle, but it is a curve. So on top of that, circle and curve. And now you should feel your drawing hand nice and warmed up. I don't care if this page just looks like a big page of scribbles, but you'll be ready to draw. Okay, I'm going to do my minion in my sketchbook here. So this is my sketchbook that I've shown you that I've been doing a few different ones, and you can see Toad and Cat in the Hat and Pet and what was the pet? Secret Life of Pets. So these sketchbooks look like an ordinary sketchbook, but they're not. It's really difficult to show you that, but it is a big thick piece of paper because that's the watercolour paper. I'm going to be painting properly on this, so I really need that. So I'm going to fold it round and let's start. And if you're looking for these books, they are on our website in our online shop, and we do very much love them. Okay, so let's get going with this very first one. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a line. So I want you to go to halfway down that page, then down a little bit more. I'm going to just go up about a quarter there, about a third there, and we're going to just take it in a nice straight line, but I'm going to just lift off before the end there. Now I'm going to go halfway down my page and a little bit further on, hardly any, and I'm going to do another straight line. So we've got our minions sort of on a bit of a bend here, so we'll go there with that straight line, going up to about the same. I can draw a little line across there. Now let's start the curve for the curve of that head, and we're going to take it off the page there. Come back in there and turn my book slightly so I can do this. Look how loosely I'm holding that pencil. Incredibly loosely, and we'll take it round in a nice curve. And that is already instantly starting to feel minionish. If we go down here, I'm going to put this, what is the top of the dungarees here. I'm going to take that line down actually off the page there. And another line here, because that's the pocket. Now, I haven't got this on the picture that I'm working from, but I think I'm going to put it in here, because there should just be a little strap. Where do we think it is, Elizabeth? About there?
I think that's right.
About there. So ignore that one. We'll pop a little strap in there. And then we're going to put in what will be his arm. So leaving a bit of a space there, maybe a couple of centimetres. You can see the lines are parallel, so they're running in the same direction. We're going to go up 2 lines and then down there like that. And if you put a line in, then take it up as if you were going up to a triangle. We're not going to, and this is going to be the bottom of the glove. And that's our first set of shapes. And what I want you to think about here is the size and the position on the paper. So really thinking about getting the position on the paper right. Right, now what I want you to think about is going from about there up halfway. Just put a little dot. That'll give us a nice halfway mark. And from there we're going to take it out a bit there and out a bit there. That's going to be the centre of the goggles there. So that's not a line, it's a little curved line. And then we're going to draw those circles that we practiced in the warm-up. So you can see I'm going really, really relaxed circles here. And that's the sort of inside of the goggles. I'm not worrying about, I'm keeping my lines very gentle So I'm not worrying about it looking a bit scruffy at the moment because it's so lightly drawn, it'll be really easy to rub it out. So that's my circles. And then we're going to go like this. Put a little kind of V in there. And another one there. And then we'll just take the circle outside it, and that will give us our goggle shape. Okay. And now we need his mouth, which is like a giant banana in itself, actually. What I want you to do is to come down from there on both sides so that it sits in line with the tops of the eyes, and take it down so it's a nice big curve. It's possibly not enough of a curve, so I'm going to go more. That looks like a very small smile, not a Minion smile. There we go. And then from there, we'll take that right down. So we've got this sort of banana shape. There, and that's our smile. And then if we come over here to the hand, right, I have to confess that an hour ago, this was actually a flower, and Elizabeth looked at it and went, why is it a flower? Minions love bananas. Can you check? And I changed it. That's how adaptable we are at the Daily Draw, the little art school, that we just quickly took the flower out and we stuck a banana in. So that's the shape there. And then for the banana, as I worked out an hour ago, pretty simple. Just take that shape, you put that bit there. And then this is the bottom of the banana. It just goes like that. If you pause now and get that second set of shapes in. Right, let's start with working on the goggles and the eyes. We're just going to put in on either side a little shape here, which is what holds the band on, and then the band goes like that. So it's not a straight line, it's like a little curve there. And then inside here, carry on the band, so it's like that. But whereas we curved like that, just curve slightly there and there. That was actually a bit too high up, so I'll rub that out. And then it starts to make more sense when we put the eyes in. So you've got a circle in each one in the centre for a pupil, then the iris, and we've got a little half curve in each, which will be like a highlight that's in the iris. So if we now come onto the mouth, Elizabeth and I were just talking about this, and it does look really odd until the actual black goes in. So just stick with it, with the shapes. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've crammed them in there. And then we've got 2 at the bottom. No, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you want to put shape in, which will, when it's coloured in, it'll make sense, but it's actually his tongue behind them there. And then to finish it off, all we've got is a few little bits of hair. Now you can give him whatever hair you want, because I have noticed I'm no Minion expert, but there's absolutely loads of different types of Minions and with their hair. So I'm now going to paint this. So stick with me if you've got a paint palette, and let's paint it together. If you've got felt tips or crayons and you want to use those, you crack on with those, but make sure you send us your Minions. We really want to see them. Right, so I'm going to go and mix myself a nice wash. I've got two little pots of water here, and the reason behind that is because I always forget and wash my brush in it, and then it's not clean for the other washes. I'm mixing putting quite a bit of water in there to mix my yellow wash, and then look, I'm really loading my brush there. You see, with paint, loading it up. Now I am really aware that my paint box is very messy. Elizabeth keeps getting cross with me about what a mess I make. You don't have to have a messy paint box to be an artist. It's just that I am a bit messy. Right, here we go. We've got our yellow, and we're going to go in here, and we're just going to put in all of the shapes that we can, and I'm going to paint this really quickly. We could do this if you've got watercolour pencils, do it in watercolour pencils. It's just actually an awful lot faster doing it in in a wash like this, and you get this lovely, quite smooth effect. I think the watercolour pencils are brilliant when you're doing small details. So the other Minion, the one we've done in the senior, is all done with watercolour pencils. So if you've got watercolour pencils and you really want to use them, we are going to use them for other bits, but the other one is all in watercolour pencils. Right, that is just the most fabulous yellow, isn't it? I love it. It's so bright. It's genuinely one of my favourite colours. And on the subject of yellow, wow, the sunflowers, they were amazing. If you've not done it yet, why don't you paint a beautiful sunflower from yesterday's daily draw? And you could even turn it into a card and send it to someone, because it would be like you were sending sunshine in the post. I'm also going to do this bit here with my yellow, and I'm going to do my banana too. Oh, how much easier is that than a flower? Excellent idea, Elizabeth.
I think you couldn't do it with a flower.
Couldn't do it with a flower, apparently. I don't know what you all think of that, but I have seen the films, the Despicable Me films and the Minion films, but I've never actually sat through a whole one. There'll be plenty of mums out there who've got similar experience where you never quite manage to sit through a full film, but you do feel like you know them. So just very quickly, so you can see I mixed a huge wash there and I've pretty much used it all. So make sure you mix a wash with plenty of paint in. Right, I've got one last thing I'm going to do here in yellow. I'm going to go inside there and do that bit. And then I'm going to leave it to dry and we'll come back and we'll finish it off. So I've let my yellow dry, that's nice and dry now, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to use grey. If you haven't got watercolour pencils and you're just going to use your paints, then just go in and you can paint this with your paints. But I'm just using a grey and I'm going in quite heavy here around the goggles. I'm going around the outside first, and then, as you'll know, all your regular daily drawers, I don't need to do too much here with the watercolour pencils because the pigment's actually in the pencils. I just go like this. I take my brush, make sure it's nice and clean, not too wet, and that is going to turn it to paint there. But I'm kind of keeping that nice strong edge to it with the watercolour pencil. Same around here. Right, and that'll just take a minute or two to dry, not too long at all. What I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that bit to dry is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take my pink watercolour pencil. Again, if you're using paints, just do it with your paint. And I'm going to colour in this tongue here. I'm going to put quite a bit of pigment in because with anything cartoony, often the colours are very strong. Nothing massively subtle about any aspect of the Minion, I don't think. So there we go, I'll pop that in, the pink in. Then I'm going to use my black watercolour pencil here, and again, I'm pressing really hard. It's so different from how I draw this. It's much less quiet. You can hear I'm really putting this in. Again, make sure my brush is clean, that there's no other colour on there, and that's turning that really nicely. What I'm also going to use my black for is to go around all this as well. So I'm not going to colour that, but I'm going to go there at the bottom and the top of my banana, go around it. I'm not going to turn any of that to paint, it's just a nice outline. And the same here. And if I go into my, this bit's pretty much dry now, so I can go in, and it's not like painting a wash with the watercolour pencils where you've really got to wait for it to dry. It does dry an awful lot quicker. So I'm just going to put in all the black here. And up here, having to be a bit careful with my hand here because things are so wet. just going right around the edges. I'm not going to turn any of that to paint. I'm using it as if it was like a fine liner or something. Mine's got a slightly crazy and very sparse hair, so I'm just going to put that in. And then don't forget the highlight with when you put the iris in. And when you're turning that to paint, I'm going to be really careful. I'm going to turn the brown first, and I'm probably going to leave the black as it is. I've got quite a little brush there. Just turning the brown. You see, not touching the black because I don't want it to mix in. If I use my other brush, I can turn this too. And they're quite neat here, the watercolour pencils. I had a go earlier and I painted all this from the palette, and it's completely doable. It's just a bit more difficult to keep the control. It's a bit easier to keep the control with the watercolour pencils. And then I'm going to quite lightly there do that and go round. And then I'm underneath the goggles. I'm just going to give them a bit of a shadow by going there in a sort of broken line and a bit over the top as well, just around the edges. And if I come onto his teeth, they look so bizarre, don't they? But as soon as you draw right round here with the black, oops, not quite right there, and then colour in the inside, it all makes much more sense. There we go, so just quickly turning that bit there. Right, and all we've got to do to finish off now is this bit, and I'm going to paint that for speed. So you could do that with your watercolour pencils as well, but I quite like flitting between the two. So I'm just going to create a nice, strong blue wash. I'm just going to really quickly paint it in. Now, when this is dry, you can go back over the blue, over the edges, just like we've done at the top, go over the edges and do the same around the bit that would be like his pocket with the black watercolour pencil, and that will finish him off. Hope you loved that minion. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, there is another lesson, another minion lesson with a totally different minion, so you could go off and do that as well, and make sure you send them to us because we really, really love seeing them. Tomorrow, Elizabeth's going to be here with Daily Draw with the grandparents. So make sure you tell grannies, granddads, uncles, aunties to sign in and come to see us. And Elizabeth's got a really beautiful picture tomorrow, which everybody's going to love. It's of absolutely gorgeous strawberries. So we will see you then.